Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Fatimatus Shalihah from the 4th semester of TBI-A class. In this video, I will explain a little from my mind map. Immediately, the contents of my mind map were educational psychological theories. I would like to explain a little of the definitions of educational, psychological, and theory. Okay, education is a learning process that is carried out both formally and informally, which aims to educate and develop self-potential. And psychological is a scientific discipline that studies human mentality, thoughts, and behavior more deeply. And then theory is an attempt to explain how something happens or is used in the teaching and learning process. In other words, educational theory is a view or a series of opinions relating to education present in a conceptual. Okay, next. What is psychological educational theories? Educational psychology study learners and learning context, both within and beyond traditional classroom, and evaluate ways in which factors such as age, culture, gender, and physical and social environments influence human learning. They leverage educational theory and practice based on the latest research related to human development to understand the emotional, cognitive, and social aspect of human learning. The following is the theory of educational psychological theories. The first is psychoanalysis. Psychoanalysis is a type of therapy that aims to release pent-up or repressed emotion and memories in order to lead the client to catharsis or healing. The goal of psychoanalysis is to bring what exists at the unconscious or subconscious level up to consciousness. Examples of psychoanalysis include a well-built 20-year-old child has a seemingly irrational fear of rats. Fear made him tremble when he saw a mouse or rat. He often finds himself in embarrassing situations out of fear. The second is behaviorism. Behaviorism is a theory of learning which states all behavior are learned through interaction with the environment through a process called conditioning. Thus, behavior is simply a response to environmental stimuli. Theory of learning which states all behaviors are learned through interaction with the environment through a process called conditioning. Thus, behavior is simply a response to stimuli. A common example of behaviorism is positive reinforcement. Students get a small treat if they get 100 on their spelling test. In the future, students work hard and study for their test in order to get the reward. The third is cognitivism. Cognitivism focuses on the inner mental activities. Opening the black box of the human mind is valuable and necessary for understanding how people learn. Mental process such as thinking, memory, knowing, and problem solving need to be explored. Knowledge can be sent a schema or a symbolic mental contraction. Learning is defined as change in a learner's schemata. Cognitive learning is a style of learning that encourages students to use their brain more effectively. This way of learning encourages students to fully engage in the learning process, so learning, thinking, and remembering get easier and easier. Examples of cognitive learning strategies include asking students to reflect on their experience, helping students find new solutions to problems, encouraging discussion about what is being taught, helping students explore and understand how ideas are connected. Fourth is ecological. Ecological is learning is not a confined internal process but instead involves mutually constitutive relationships between individuals and their social, intellectual, and digital material environments where both persons and environment are transformed. According to a socio-cultural line of reasoning, the individual actively relates to environments of various natures, or social, economic, cultural, personal, institutional, and those relationships then become internals to form part of how a person knows and develops. Ecology is defined as the branch of science that studies how humans or organisms relate to each other and their environment. Example of ecology is studying the food chain in wetland areas. Scientific study of the relationship between living things and their environment. The ecological principle is learning space are relational in nature and the educational context, with this institutional, material or digital infrastructure and pedagogical arrangements. The fifth is humanism. The humanistic theory approach engages social skills, feelings, intellect, artistic skills, practical skills, and more as part of their education. Self-esteem, goals, and full autonomy are key learning elements in the humanistic learning theory. The idea of student-centered learning is an example of the humanistic learning theory in action. The principle of humanism is the importance of self-evaluation, student choice, and a safe learning environment. And the sixth is Islamic education. Education in Islam is twofold: acquiring intellectual knowledge through the application of reason and logic, and developing spiritual knowledge derived from divine revelation and spiritual experience. According to the worldview of Islam, provision in education must be made equally for both. Acquiring knowledge in Islam is not intended as an end, but as a means to stimulate a more elevated moral and spiritual consequence, leading to fight and righteous action. That's the contents of mind map. For the shortcomings and strength of my mind map, I apologize. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.